What is up, YouTube? Wraithyn here, and guess what? We're back with more of my top tips for Season 8, and this time we're doing my top 5 for the support role in this new meta. Support's changed pretty drastically, almost as much as the jungle, and honestly, it also seems to be the role most people are kind of lost in. Personally, I enjoy playing jungle more, but in all honesty, if you ask pretty much anybody, I'm probably a better support than anything else. So with that, I've spent the better part of the last week testing and trying out support play so I can give some guidance to those who need it. So with that, let's dive right in, get you guys geared up for Season 8, and start winning some games with my top 5 support tips for Season 8. Unlike my mid and jungle videos, which have top 3 tips, because that was all I could really think of off the cuff, support has changed so much that I almost had to go with top 5, and there's probably another 5 back behind this that I could easily do. Starting things off by Sentinels. This starts with Sentinels Gift and then goes into Sentinels Embrace. Everything else sucks, don't bother. As of right now, War Flag and Benevolence are unless you're going to do the Animosity cheese, which will undoubtedly get nerfed at some point because the player base is kind of pissed about it. Especially if you're playing as a defensive support like Kepri, or even somebody like Sylvanas or Geb who wants to sit on their carries. They gain a ton of protections in team fights. It's awesome. This one's obviously subject to change for now because itemization gets shifted around throughout the year, but it is going to undoubtedly be the strongest support starter in the game. It doesn't nuke your XP or gold and has so much team fight utility, it's insane. I actually just played a Sylvanas game last night with Lotus Crown, Sov, Heart Ward, Sentinels, and my ADC had over 200 physical protections when I healed him. That's more than most solo laners get these days. All right, let's get right into number 4. Protect your damn mid laner. As I mentioned in one of my earlier videos this week, mid lane is treacherous this season. I've played a bunch of mid, and it seems like you're getting towered over, run at by 8 minutes every single game by the enemy jungler and support. Once you rotate as a support around tier 1 or tier 2 of your second item after boost, your job is to stick to your mid laner like glue and keep them alive, especially if they're behind or have mediocre pressure and mobility. If they're a Zeus, stay on top of them, make sure they're safe. Though we haven't seen a professional meta shake out yet, I truly believe the focus of the game is going to revolve around taking out your mid mage. They're super strong in the late game, they do a ton of damage, and you must keep your mid laner protected. All this week, I've seen supports abandoning their mid to try and save one of the side lanes due to a gank, and what ends up happening is these mids just fall behind and then they don't do anything. Instead of abandoning your mid lane, team up and pressure out mid. If the other support rotates, try and get the mid tower, invade, take an objective on the other side of the map. You're going to need to fight the urge to leave your mid laner alone while you rotate to ganks and fights on the sides of the map. You need to make sure they know to pull back, hug a corner, or even go back to base when you're gone. I've seen mid laners tower dove at sub 10 minutes by supports and junglers, and there's plenty of evidence on social media at how frustrating the mid lane role is right now, especially if you have no peel. Like I said before, controlling the middle of the map seems to be the most important thing for now, and protecting your nuke damage dealers, even ones with good self peel and mobility, is going to be essential if you want to win these games. All right, 2 down, 3 to go. What do you guys think so far? Drop a comment below if you agree or disagree, or if you're a diehard support player, definitely subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. I'm going to be making a lot more support content this year, and you're not going to want to miss it. Next up is number 3. This one's kind of an egregious offense that I see every game. Ward the big objectives. This one actually kind of blows my mind a little bit. Yeah, it's confusing right now where you should be warding and when to get maximally effective vision over the course of the game, but please, 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 at the bare minimum, try and keep Pyro, Fire Giant, and Gold Fury warded. I highly suggest you grab an Oracle Chalice and just start dumping wards. Warding in Season 8 is infinitely more important than it was in Season 7. In Season 7, you could drop a couple of wards down and you'd gain enough information from them that you could pretty much guess where the enemy team was at all times. That is just flat out not the case anymore. We'll cover warding in another video, but for now, please just keep Pyro and Gold Fury warded at a minimum, especially if you're in that pre-20 minute mark when people aren't really going to be going for FG. Every single game I've been in has had at least one objective taken completely uncontested with no counter objective. So if I got gold, they got Pyro due to lack of vision, whether it was my team or the enemy team. This one's important. Make sure you do this. Little quick bonus warding tip, and honestly one of my biggest pet peeves in the entire game: if you're gonna drop a ward on the Fire Giant, make sure it covers the Fire Giant itself. Your teammates can't see the health, and you'll have to send someone in to get vision on the actual HP the Fire Giant has left so that your mage can confirm from a safe distance, and it'll make steal so much harder if you don't ward the FG. I swear, I see it once a night on my stream where the Sentry Ward is kind of cheated towards the Pyro side of things. Which objective do you really think is more important for you to defend? Moving on to number 2, this is another big one. Don't gimp your mid by AFKing in the mid lane. The 4th tip today, and second on my list of most important, is pretty simple. I gave you guys a break from the mid lane discussion to talk about wards, but now we're back at it. Stop just AFK splitting farm with your mid laner. Stop doing it. If you're just sitting on their head, clearing wave after wave with them, not farming backs, not going for left or right harpies, or even your back camps, you are killing your team's chance to win. Just like it's important to keep your mid laner alive, you need to keep them fed with XP. Mid laners need to hard farm to get to a point in the game where they're really slapping, and doing the old tower squat with them is a good way to ensure that they're under leveled. When you rotate to the mid lane, you must have a plan to either apply pressure and take camps, or pay close attention to the enemy team's movement in and out of the mid lane so that you can counter farm the opposite side of the map. Nobody's saying you have to hard W key and dominate the mid lane and W key into a Ymir on her mid, especially if you don't have the damage teamfighter levels for it, but you must be looking to make plays in or around mid based on how the other team is playing it. If they go for Pyro side harpies, run to Gold Fury and try and burn it down. They can't get to you in time in most cases, especially if they don't have vision, but you need to quickly make those calls. You can't hang around in mid and then wait for them to clear those side camps. With the jungler spending more time in the jungle itself this year, you are the player that dictates the pace of the mid lane in Season 8, and you need to know where your team's next source of farm and gold is at all times. Quick little break here before we get to the last one, my number 1 tip for supports in Season 8. I want to shout out my editor, Rule.
Oh shit, that's me!
Rule here. The guy's a beast, and he's the only reason these how-to videos are remotely entertaining. It's not just me talking. Super thanks to everyone who commented and subscribed because of the mid lane video. We ended up taking Rule to the park and allowed him a 5-minute phone call with his worried family. You guys rock.
I love you, and I miss you.
All right, get back to the good stuff. My number 1 top tip for supports this season is stop buying Gauntlet of Thebes. Ew. There is way too much power on the map out of the gate with the start of Season 8. Every single lane and jungler has a powerful starter item and is itemizing into more efficient power sooner, except supports. Those of you that have played for the last week could probably already feel this. You could have 3,500 HP and 300 of each protection, and you still feel like you're nothing but wet paper, some of these carries and mages. This means that you need cheap, effective protection spikes to get you out and ahead of the power and pen the enemy carries are building, so that you can be more impactful in the mid game and even in the late game. The biggest bait item out there, due to the way the Season 7 meta shook out, is Gauntlet of Thebes. Thebes is a rough one. It's more expensive than most options. It takes time to stack, and it offers nothing but HP when you finish the item, meaning you're waiting another couple of minutes at least of farming before you get the full benefit. All this time, the enemy mages are stacking Desolations and Tahootis with flattened percent penetration. ADCs are rushing Berserker Shields with percent pen, and junglers all have flat pen itemized to bop you the second you step up too far. If you rush Gauntlet of Thebes, you're asking to get nuked every time you engage until it's fully stacked, and maybe even you have another couple items online. With that, and I really hate doing this in my videos because the itemization meta changes so rapidly, but I really feel the support class is in need of urgent help when it comes to building, so here it is. As of January 31st, 2021, this could be outdated by the time this video gets released, and before bonus balance or anything else, here is the best cookie cutter support build out there for any players who feel like they're lost on what to build. This has also been cleared by a couple of SPL players, so it's not like it's just me sitting here with a spreadsheet making stuff up. The first item is Sentinels. Obviously, we covered it. It's a great item. It's a great late game item. Just buy it. Second is Reinforced Greaves or Tank Boots, or whatever you want to call them. This has an insane amount of early protections, health, and CCR, and it allows you to fight and look for plays. The Power Boots / CDR Boots options are not really good here anymore. You can kind of go the cooldown boots if you're Wicked far ahead, or if you're Athena or Sylvanas, you might get a little bit of value, but realistically, you need to be tanky. Next up is Sovereignty. Cheap, effective protections. It's like 2,100 gold. It's got health and HP 5 and a nice aura for your team. This is great for fighting, and it allows you to actually safely tower dive if your team needs to make a play in mid, even pre-10 minutes. Next up is Wingblade. This is an extremely cheap set of magical protections. You get 30 prots from this item. It's 1850 on the gold. It gives you movement, health, a great passive. There's a lot of slows that are in the meta right now, and it maxes out your crowd control reduction, so CC isn't as punishing when you engage or when you get caught out. All right, fifth item is Mantle of Discord. At this point in the game, you can actually farm for a big item, and Mantle is it. It's got a great passive. It gives you an AoE stun when you dive in and you get low health. It gives you CC immunity when that item procs. Great protections, and honestly, it has a solid tier 2 item at only 1,500 gold, which gives you some protections and a little bit of cooldown. Get your Mantle of Discord fifth. And last up on the cookie cutter build is Pridewind. Buy this last for the cooldown, protections of each type, and the shield. Typically, you want to get this after Mantle because you'll get more value out of the shield when you have more protections. But if you feel like you're lacking cooldown or you don't have enough gold for Mantle, but you do have enough gold for Pridewind, you could switch those two around. Let me know below what you guys think of the build. It's really just a point in time. I really hate putting it into videos like this where, you know, you could use this video for the next 10 months if it weren't for the build, but I really feel like supports out there need the help in terms of what to build right now. Well, guys, that's it for the top 5 support tips for Season 8. Let me know what you think. This is all subject to change as the meta obviously evolved, and we'll have to see where it goes. But I have a feeling these core fundamentals will persist through this year and even beyond until maybe we get another map. As always, like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, buy my merch, draw some fan art, get a tattoo of my logo, paint a mural of me, put my name on a building, and tune in next time for the next video here in a couple of days. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.